I talked about she's been through the route back in the day. I'm talking days of the total education hour, the days of total education show. Holy cow. And it's going to be 15 years since
Hmm.
I've been doing my show in December. And where I've grown, Joanne, thanks for stopping by. I mean, you remember those days when I was trying to hustle that. And
I
then
do remember those days. Yes.
and Clubhouse, which you
Hmm.
saw me being a semi-influencer on Clubhouse. But what's going on with you? What's new with your business? I remember the days reading tutoring was the thing. Now teaching other tutors how to start their own tutoring businesses. Where are you at? And give me an update.
I'm still actually doing both. So I am still working with kids in being able to close the reading gap for them, especially those early readers they're struggling to really get those basic pieces in place and working with dyslexics. I found that I'm able to close the reading gap a full year with 12 hours of instruction, which is absolutely huge compared to, other tutoring companies that just kind of put you through like a curriculum. And then I started also helping other tutors with how do I actually get students for my tutoring business? We have the entire world at our fingertips. Now, how do I reach out to that world to let them know that I exist, but not in a salesy way, right? Just through being helpful and, creating content and letting the world know what it is that I do so that they can build these, six-figure tutoring businesses. And you can totally do that easily being an independent tutor if you want to. If you don't even want to hire any other tutors, you absolutely can. Um, Today, I'm charging $125 an hour for my tutoring services, and lots of other tutors are able to do it. And I work half the hours that I worked when I was in the school system, making more than I ever could have dreamed of working in the school system.
Absolutely. And having the freedom and
Yeah.
then helping grow other people that freedom. And it's amazing. And like, go figure, I saw business, it pays more in education. And now I'm back into that industry, but I'm going to be niching only the athletes. That's the other thing I didn't mention that with you off air is I'm only going to focus on athletes. We're only going to Total Tour will only serve athletes. Yeah, I bet other people need it, but that's going to be our niche is
Hmm.
how many athletes need tutoring. I mean, that's
Right.
what you dealt with back in the day with the other, but that was sidebar. Probably people only heard certain things. Other news, it's like all coming full circle. But that's key. The problem is, yes, they have this great gift, tutoring one-on-one, and yet here's the problem. How do
Hmm.
you find students?
Right.
So what do you think are the best ways?
Well, I
Especially
think right now it's switching, right? Like, and you got to stay up to date with it. So, advice that I share today could be changing. So that's why I have a community where we're constantly staying up to date on what those strategies are. But my big thing has always been organic marketing. We don't have a big, huge budget like some of the larger companies have. So, how can we maximize organic marketing strategies? And now it's turning from what used to be kind of like a SEO strategy, search engine optimization. It's turning into a GEO strategy, which is the generative engine optimization or those answer engines optimization. How do I, now that the internet is changing from a place where I can search for information, but now I actually go to for answers, how do I now present myself so that I can get found by those engines? And so I've been doing all of the research on how were they trained and all of that great stuff so that we can make sure that we are putting all of our best, selves forward online so that the people we're meant to work with, they can find us.
And that's going to be the challenge with AI. And I mean, with the studying of what I'm doing with AI, it's ultimately search everywhere optimization. It's about creating content, as you've talked about, and you being willing to create content in so many different avenues and showing what your secret sauce, why hire you or your tutoring company. Are
Right.
you seeing, and this is where I am seeing the tutoring business, and the fact is that it's hard to find tutors. And so I know you're more focused on finding the students, but finding tutors because people are leaving the teaching game. It's the education and that's probably why I left in COVID in 2020 tutoring kids. It's a hard job and it's hard to show that progress. And I was really darn good at it as trying to, and never niched in my life. And I look back and I say, why? But I guess I did the same thing in marketing. But I have niched down finally to podcast agency, but we do everything after that, but I don't advertise it. The key thing is you got to show what your specialty is. And you
Mhm.
have to show why hire you versus going to the big boys.
Exactly. Exactly.
Personalized service.
And a lot of people, they want to be able to choose who the tutor is for their child, right? If you go with those other services, you don't know where those people were hired from, right? They could have just, graduated from, high school, college, whatever, you know, fits the boat for them. But, a lot of people, they want somebody who is experienced, who can really help their child, not somebody who's just going to bring them through another program.
Right.
And that's what I have found through talking with people is they really do appreciate people like me who came out of the school system, who went to get their master's, to get their, reading specialist degree or those kinds of things. And they want to be able to hire us and give the money to us versus the bigger companies that, you know, it's just kind of going towards their marketing versus going towards that actual person that's doing the tutoring.
And you think about, let's talk about places like, I remember the days of in-home tutoring and how that's changed with never thought I kind of used it in COVID before really all the technology was available. And I still
Yeah.
did it with FaceTime and all these different things before, because no one was tutoring when COVID, right? We couldn't go to the houses. I said, what the heck? That's really where it changed me to back into this full-time marketing agency. If I would look back, 2020 was that turning point where I still tutored. So I just, went straight full-time marketing agency and I miss it. And I can't believe I was brought back into it in the weirdest way. And so that goes back to looking at, but marketing is the key thing. And Joanne, you and I are the marketing gurus that were able to figure out relationship tutoring. Give you an
Yeah.
example. I literally would interview celebrities and all the family, and I didn't advertise my tutoring business at all. And everybody would contact me saying, I'm hiring you as my tutor. You're
Mm,
interesting. This is the key component. And then I know you've done all these other people, but you're the first top of mind. Top of mind is the key thing because everyone
yeah.
and their mother tutors in some sort of way. How
Sure.
do you put yourself out there is explain. But
Yeah.
I don't see it all the time, Joanne. So explain how you're trying to teach other people this route because they're not out there really promoting, hey, I can help your kid with SAT. I can help your
The
kid.
funny thing is they are out there. They're just doing it the wrong way and they're going to the wrong places to do it. So what I
Mm.
see people doing is, that old fashioned like flyer? They're now taking that idea of an old fashioned flyer, throwing it online and going into these spots on like Facebook or different places, Instagram, and they're posting just this flyer like I'm hiring, like I'm taking students, hire me type of flyers. And that is just not the way to go about building expertise because we have those three stages of the buying, right? We have people who are just getting to know you. They don't know anything about you. We have people that, they're starting to get to know, like, and trust you. And then we have people there in the decision stage where they're beginning to think about, oh, is this the person that I want to hire for this specific thing that my child is struggling with? And so a lot of people are trying to bypass it with just throwing out like that last message of people who are in the decision stage, right? And we really have to create content that meets people at all three stages so that we can reach on out there. It's almost like taking your hand through the internet to the world and just saying, "Here I am. Here's content. This shows that I'm not just telling you that I'm an expert. I'm showing you that I'm an expert through creating those videos that maybe they're like quick strategies that you utilize with your
Mhm.
students, or maybe it's a testimonial that you're sharing about the progress that a student has gotten, or maybe it's a case study that you're sharing, all of these things, or you're answering a question that is a frequent question that people are asking. Those are the things that are going to be pivotal when it comes to getting people to know, like, and trust you and believe in you. And it's the same thing with the answer engines. They're looking for the question stems. So they're no longer looking for the those keywords that we used to have to figure out to play with. They're looking for, are you answering real questions that real people are asking?
Very interesting. And are you seeing it online's the best route to go versus going into the not to the schools, but going to a library to tutor, or let's say going and doing group tutoring and like for certain depends on your certain level.
It does depend on it depends on your preferences. It depends on what you believe about the teaching and all of that great stuff. The library typically isn't the most conducive place
Yeah, I
to
remember all
host
those
a
days. Yeah.
tutoring session. You don't always have access to those private rooms because it's open to the public, right? And it's first come, first serve. They don't like you handing over money inside of a library. So it's not always the most conducive. And if people are going to go, even let's say to a coffee shop, it's really loud in a coffee shop. It is just not conducive, again, to that learning. What I love about the online is that we now have technology that takes all background noise out so that student can focus. And so you don't hear any of that background noise. I can actually be inside of
And
a
what's
loud
happening with the
environment.
in-home tutoring business? Like, remember the days of Club Z? I lived in the in-home tutoring world of going to people's houses. Is that still going
Yeah,
well,
people are
or
definitely still doing it. It's not my preference, just because
because you built an online thing from day one? So there you
yeah,
go. Before it wasn't technology. So come on.
exactly. So, well, not day one actually. So, when I was actually in the school system, I did do some tutoring and I drove to people's houses. And it was that experience that led me to believe if I were ever to make this a business, this is the worst way to build my
And
business.
I was doing it while seeing you build the online thing. And then I had tutors working for me. So I went through the whole entrepreneur game. And so if I would say hire Joanne, absolutely, because she has evolved in that many years and has stuck with it. Look at me. Marketing agency. I have a podcast agency, that marketing agency worldwide and all these different things, but and influencer and doing, but I saw you've stayed the course. Hire her because she knows what she's doing, or join your community. So, what's your call of action if people want to learn how to get more clients?
Yeah, I would say the first thing is definitely to come and join our community. You can learn more at the onlinetutorcoach.com. And our specific community is called the Insider Secrets Club 3.0. And that community allows you to learn all of the steps. But here's what I've learned when it comes to helping tutors with their own online tutoring businesses. It's not about learning each of the steps. It's about staying accountable to a community of people who are taking the same steps as you and making sure that you are taking those steps so that you can get the results that you're looking for. We can take all of the information that we can learn online, but if we don't do anything with it, it's not going to be able to get the results that we want. When people join our community, they start learning the right actions they should be taking. They learn about how to actually create a video. They learn about how to actually create that flyer or
Mhm.
that different content that's going to get them found and is going to get them referred. Not only that, tutors refer other tutors. And so when
Yeah.
you get to know other tutors, you have that opportunity of opening doors of other tutors referring you for your services. So not only are you learning with a like-minded group of people, but you also have that opportunity to then get to know other tutors in the community who tutor all different things all over the world, which is so key. And we get to play the time zone game, right? We have
Yeah.
tutors from all over the world. So when we connect with certain tutors, we're like, okay, I want to
It's
connect
gonna
with
be
this
it's gonna
tutor
be
because
fun, and that's why
yeah.
I tapped you and talked to you, because when I show you this next phase, you will be able to scale unlimitedly and sleep and make money. This is an opportunity. That's why I contacted you. But ultimately, I think I can also help in other ways too. I'd love to be part of, helping and teaching some of these things to your tutors on marketing. So I'm going to put myself out there to be available. So I'm looking forward to the collaboration. And that's why this is the power of podcast. And it's what I try to teach people now. The podcast is the gold mine of gold mine to make any money you want, when you want, anytime you want. Because if you have a podcast, you build so many relationships, and those relationships will build a gold forever. Appreciate it, Joanne. What best place for you? Where can we go?
You can go to www.onlinetutorcoach.com.
All right. You're listening.